In celebrating Women in History Month 2001, the Soroptimist Club of Grand Prairie, Texas, Soroptimist International, we are very pleased to bring to you an opening of our Women in History Awards and luncheon presentation by reading the proclamation that the Mayor of Grand Prairie, Texas, and the City Council issued on behalf of our organization. And it reads as follows. Whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background continue to make valuable contributions to the cultural, historic, and economic development of Texas and the United States, and whereas today women constitute a significant portion of the labor force, working both in and outside the home, historically they have also provided the majority of our state's volunteer labor force and were instrumental in the establishment of early cultural, charitable, and philanthropic institutions. And whereas women have also been at the vanguard of every major social movement of our time, female workers led the way in promoting labor unions, as many mothers and community leaders lobbied for prohibition legislation, child labor legislation, and improved access to education for all Americans. And whereas true participatory democracy has been achieved within our state and nation through the able guidance and leadership of dedicated women, activists who were at the forefront of emancipation, suffrage, and the modern civil rights movements. And whereas Texas can take special pride in its strong support of women's rights, the Lone Star State was the first in the South and the 9th in the nation to vote for the full enfranchisement of American women. In 1924, our state also became the first state in the nation to elect a female governor, Mariam Ferguson. And whereas Americans everywhere will celebrate Women in History Month in March 2001, paying tribute to female citizens who have helped to make this nation a better place in which to work, live, and raise a family. Now therefore I, Ruthie Jackson, along with the Grand Prairie Mayor and the City Council, proclaim March 2001 as Women in History Month and join citizens of the Lone Star State in celebrating the achievements of Texas women in history. And it's in witness thereof we do hereby set our hands and the seal of this day, the 22nd of March 2001, and it is signed by Ruthie Jackson, Council Member at Large, Grand Prairie, Texas. And now, on with our awards ceremony. Welcome to the Soroptimist Women in History Day Awards at the Grand Prairie Country Club. This is March the 22nd, 2001. I'm Ruthie Jackson, your host for It's Happening in Grand Prairie, and it happened in Grand Prairie, our history, and we are so pleased today to be at the history table of the Grand Prairie Historical Organization. And at my immediate right, I have the president of the Grand Prairie Historical Organization, Mr. Charles Billy Powers. Mr. Powers, welcome to the Country Club and welcome to Women in History.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking on here, and I'm also a charter husband of this Soroptimist Club. Did you know that?
Great.
In 1951, Nancy was a member.
All right.
So we're happy to be here.
All right. And we have with us also Mr. J.C. Swadley, Jr., who is the Fire Chief Emeritus of the City of Grand Prairie and probably the only person on the commission that is an ambassador for the City of Grand Prairie because he is emeritus on the commission also. Mr. J.C. Swadley, how are you today?
Just fine. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. I appreciate this invitation, and I find it grateful to be with my friends, and anything that I can do, it will be done.
And Mr. Swadley also has Fire Station Number 1 named in his honor and is a real great advocate of all of these things. And let's go down to Mr. Squat Cannon next. Mr. Squat Cannon, is it Lyndon? Lindell? It's Lyndall, Lyndon Squat Cannon. And watch everybody move out of the way. Welcome to this very wonderful happening.
I'm glad to be here and enjoying it.
All right, and one of these days I'm going to get you on It Happened all by yourself with your sweet wife, and we're going to do great things for Grand Prairie's history, aren't we?
That'll be up to her.
All right, all right. I couldn't get a complete commitment out of him, could I? And Mr. Bob Johnson, formerly of the fire department, and also a member of the historical organization.
Right.
Welcome to the site.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
All right. And you did bring a friend with you.
Yes, my wife, but she took off.
I think she decided she did not want to be on television.
That's right.
Is that it?
She has a very, very fear of that.
Adverse. All right. Thank you for being here, and thank you for honoring us with your presence. And we're going around the table. All right. How do you like all this good stuff?
Oh, I love it. It's a beautiful spring day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Doris Kettlehut, Secretary of the Grand Prairie Historical Society, and I'm
Organization. And what else, Doris?
I'm a member of the Grand Prairie Genealogy Society and a member of the DAR, and quite a few other organizations in town.
But most of them historical, right, Doris?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Dr. Jan Barrett,
Yes. Hello.
tell us about being out here for this Women in History.
Well, it's great to be here. Several years ago, I received the award, and I was very appreciative and very surprised.
And isn't it wonderful that you can be here today and see someone else get surprised?
There certainly is.
Thank you all for being here on behalf of the Grand Prairie Historical Organization, and you are the kickoff of our program today, and we want to thank Mr. Louis Tovar of AT&T for all of the great things that he does for us. Thank you, Louis, for being here today for this special occasion. Thank you to female citizens who have helped to make this nation a better place in which to work, live, and raise a family. Now, therefore, I, Ruthie Jackson, along with the Grand Prairie Mayor and the City Council, proclaim March 2001 as Women in History Month and join citizens of the Lone Star State in celebrating the achievements of Texas women in history. And it's signed by Ruthie. Thank you very much, and this is for the acceptance of our President, wherever she has gone. Madam President, it's our pleasure to present this to you, and we hope you're in agreement with this wonderful proclamation.
In 1921, women in the United States were at a crossroads. Along with their newly won right to vote, they were also making gains in their professional lives. Despite this progress, women were barred from men's service clubs. So a group of 80 business and professional women formed a service club of their own. They chose the name Seroptimist from two Latin words meaning best for women. Women have made tremendous strides since 1921, although they continue to confront obstacles: domestic violence, poverty, lack of adequate child care, sexual harassment, and inequalities in the workplace. And you know, knowing me in my position, I have to get that little dig in there, so I apologize, but it's so true. 6 years ago, Seroptimist International of Grand Prairie began to honor women in this community who've made significant contributions. With this luncheon that we do every year, we recognize them. It's held in March each year because it corresponds with the National Women in History Month, so that's why we come together every year in March. To present our first award today, I'd like to introduce again a very special woman who's made tremendous contributions for a very long time to this community, Councilwoman Ruthie Jackson.
Thank you very much, Madam President. This isn't the Ruthie Jackson show, even though it looks like it. Remember, it's happening in Grand Prairie. It's happening because Mr. Louis Tovar from AT&T is here with us today. And isn't it wonderful that he's come around and said good things to you?
It's my pleasure to present the first award that's on the list today, and that's the Ruthie Jackson Women in History Award. And I'm very pleased to bring forward, while I tell you things about this wonderful young lady, Angela Sutton Gessner. Angela, are you in the assembly? Now, when I said the name Sutton, I said a whole lot about history. And this young lady is second to none as far as the city of Grand Prairie is concerned, because her family has been here many long years, and she is one of the few native Grand Prairians that we can salute today. Angela, congratulations, and I'm going to tell a few more things about you.
Don't tell too much.
I won't tell too much.
You can talk about my grandchildren.
All righty. She is a parent and a grandparent, and she is a member of the historical organization. She is a Grand Prairie Historical Organization Commission member in Dallas County. And it takes a lot of know-how and political savvy to get on that commission. And we're just so proud of Angela for supporting our name of Grand Prairie on that commission. Her Dallas County Historical Commission, she represents all of District 4 and was appointed by Commissioner Mayfield. She has been a member of the Grand Prairie Historical Commission as well as the organization. She has a family that has a great history and a great background in banking, but now into insurance. The Grand Prairie G.H. Turner, one of the longest reigning mayors that we've ever had, she houses their historic archives, and I believe that she's probably a member of that foundation. I didn't check that out for sure, but she has been in the past. She is the President-elect nominee for the Grand Prairie High School Alumni Association and has been one of the founding members of that. Historically, there's really second to none in this city that would represent our historical group any more than this wonderful, wonderful representative, Angela Sutton Gessner. And come with me. It's our pleasure to present this, and if you know Mr. Robert's Rules of Order, you know that the chairman never makes the presentation without the president. Don't let it happen in your club.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Angela. Miss Ruthie, we really appreciate you keeping us in order like that. And now I'd like to call Miss Catherine Oldie, who was the winner last year, one of the winners of Women Helping Women, to present this year's award for Women Helping Women.
Thank you very much. The Women Helping Women's Award is an award that honors a woman who consistently and effectively uses resources, talents, and influence to help other women achieve their potential. This year's recipient is a member of Grand Prairie Chamber Board, Women's Division Chamber, Seroptimist Club, Leadership Grand Prairie. She donates of her time to Mission Arlington to provide for the less fortunate, so that they may have the same opportunities to good health and well-being as others sometimes take for granted. Just during this luncheon, she's offered to provide services to the clients that I serve at Brighter Tomorrows. She continues to offer her talents and her skills on behalf of her community. She went back to school in 1991 and was accepted into Park College Chiropractic in Irving. She has 3 wonderful children. And at this time, I'd like to introduce to you the recipient of this year's Women Helping Women Award, Dr. Elizabeth Taylor.
Thank you, Madam President. It is our pleasure to present our next award winner. And she really is a winner and has been for quite some time in our city of Grand Prairie, Texas. She is a city employee, but you wouldn't know that because she's out doing good things in the community almost as much as she does in the city. And I would ask her to come join me now. Susan Henson. Our woman of distinction. Now, that sounds, you would look around to see if she was the first lady or a judge or maybe a state senator, but she's even more important to us in Grand Prairie probably than those are right at this minute. Now, Susan is the horticulturist and landscape expert in the city of Grand Prairie, Texas for the Grand Prairie Parks Department. And I just wish Mr. Inatten had been invited to this. If he'd have been a girl leader of the parks, we would have invited him in to let him sit with us today. Now, not only does she do an expert job at the city into Arbor Day, into the Christmas fest that we have, any other kind of fest that we have that has to do with parks, Susan is into that. Next, she belongs to 4 garden clubs in Grand Prairie, really 3.5, because the Woman's Club Flowers Incorporated is not a real bona fide garden club, but she goes and makes speeches to them. She helps the ladies. She is the president of my garden club, Grand Prairie Garden Club, that is the oldest reigning garden club, probably in the Metroplex, but certainly in Grand Prairie, Texas. We have a historical authenticity with Mr. Billy Powers, who is the president of the historical group, sitting back here at the back. Would you raise your hand and substantiate the fact that the Grand Prairie Garden Club is the oldest garden club in the world of Grand Prairie? That's right. All right. Not only that, she lives in Euless, Texas. Now, we're going to forgive her of that, but we're proselyting all of the time trying to get her to move to Grand Prairie. But she has a child that's in the athletic department that's doing great things with that school, and she wouldn't dare move because they would disfellowship her in the family. But we're working on that, and maybe in a few years she'll come over from Euless. But she spends a great deal of her time doing great things in Grand Prairie. Now, for upcoming Arbor Day, she's already got everything laid out for all of us. And the main thing that when she was the president of, and then finally the vice president, even after that, when we were trying to not let go of the Federation of Women's Clubs, she was one of our wonderful advocates for the Girl of the Month and the Girl of the Year scholarships. And as you know, the Seroptimus Club has taken that on. She's still helping us with that in the Seroptimus Club. And if y'all didn't bid on the things in the back for the Girl of the Year scholarship, shame on you. Y'all will have to come next year. We're going to have another one next year to raise funds for that wonderful scholarship. And Arbor Day, Christmas, anything that has to do with, and she has a television spot on the channel on channel 16. She gets to talk all about gardening and things. So Mr. Johnson has been real good to let her have some time, but really the stem winder who promotes her, and I'd like for her to stand at this time, and she was a woman of distinction, sort of. Last year she was recognized by the president. Amy, would you stand, please? This is the head honcho of PR and everything that goes on in Grand Prairie, and she helps us look good and do great things. And Amy, we're just so proud of you. And we're proud of you. Madam President presents the award.
Thank you.
You want to say thank you? Don't
Thank
let
you.
her have the microphone very long.
She already told me. I said, Ruthie, do I have to speak? She says no. And someone else said, don't let her. She'll go on for 30 minutes. But I feel close to Grand Prairie. Yes, I may live in Euless, but I spend a lot of time in Grand Prairie. And she's right, my family would disown me if I were to pull my son out of football and bring him to Grand Prairie. Although I think he'd be a welcome addition to the force here. I love Grand Prairie. I'd like to mention that one of the reasons I don't move to Grand Prairie is the soil's really bad and I'm a horticulturist. And I'm already a horticulturist in the middle of Hades, and so I don't want to compound my problems. But I appreciate this recognition, and it's every one of the women in Grand Prairie that make this place a special place to live. Thank you.
Congratulations, Susan. Right now I would like to call Terry Johnson as a representative from Vaught Heritage, who last year was the winner of the Business Advancing the Status of Women, to present this year's.
I have the honor of presenting the Business Advancing the Status of Women Award. And for those of you that don't know what this is, it's bestowed to businesses or organizations that actively support, advocate, and initiate programs so that women in business can advance. And this year's recipient is American Eurocopter. And if Norma Lynn and Jerry Robinson are here.
No speeches.
Congratulations, and thank you for being here today. Well, as president of Seroptimus this year, I get to have my very own award. I think that's one thing they give you to get you to do this. And it's called the President's Award, and it goes to a woman who's making a positive stance in a civil service type of position. Well, I had a really hard time deciding who to give this to because there's so many great women in Grand Prairie. A lot of them had already gotten it, but there are two women, and I'm going to get emotional here. Two women in Grand Prairie that have been my mentors, and I had to acknowledge them both since I had this wonderful opportunity. So right now I'd like to ask Judge Nancy Robb and Radonna Hessel to come up here. I just hate it when I do that.
It's kind of embarrassing.
I know. They're going to hit me if I cry. Judge Robb, we'll go with you first. Judge Nancy Robb is the municipal court judge in Grand Prairie. She's a member of Friday Rotary. 5 years as the municipal court judge, I already said that. She mentors juveniles at the alternative education every Tuesday on her lunch hour. And she is also devotes a lot of her time to encouraging the juveniles that are sentenced to boot camp. So she sentences them, but then she's there to support them. And she has done a lot to make a difference in the penalties and the judgments that are coming down for domestic violence. And for that, I appreciate it. Thank you, Nancy. And now Radonna Hessel. Radonna was Chamber Vice President here in Grand Prairie in 1994, and then she left us in 97 to go and become the President of the Cedar Hill Chamber, but we wouldn't stand for that. In 2000, she returned to Grand Prairie as the President, and she's been doing an excellent job. Any of you who were at the student luncheon yesterday, she did a fabulous job with that. The kids had a great time. She is currently serves as president of the Grand Prairie Library Board, president of the board for Brighter Tomorrows, and no, she did not pay me to do this, and previously has served on the DFW Medical Center Foundation. And Radonna has done so much to help Brighter Tomorrows get past a lot of hurdles and do all the good things that we're doing. So I just want to say thank you.
want to say I thought it was a typo when I saw my name in the program. Me too. Janice said she likes surprises, so she didn't tell either one of us. So we appreciate it. Thank you.